was. I think the main issue was just Namsakin's pilots drifting apart, and you know, they get jammed and damped again.
Yeah,
and that's
I mean,
it,
I think once, you know, Atlas started the jamming and the dampening cycle there, I mean, they really showed, you know, anybody watching out there that is how you run your ECM, and they really, you know, took Namsakin apart.
Yeah, I mean, the combination of a Celestis and a Blackbird is a really cheap way to do it, but it's so effective.
Yeah, it is.
Really is.
It's very good seeing, you know, the Tech 1 cruisers with the bonuses, how, you know, how dangerous they can be to teams that are fielding
definitely.
Tech 2 ships that are trying to remote rep each other.
Indeed. I mean, there's nothing more can be said. To be honest, excellent job by Atlas Alliance. Go back to Spiral in the studio.
Okay, well, not total hell death, but convincing nonetheless, James.
Yeah, I mean, a setup like that Namsakin brought is always going to take a long time to get down with such a heavy emphasis on logistics. Unfortunately, a setup like that is quite vulnerable to being dampened and jammed. There's not many ships, and they are shield tanking, which means that their mid-slots in general are dedicated to their tank instead of ECCM or sensor boosters and things like that. So I didn't think Namsakin would win it when I saw those ships on the screen.
No.
I mean, they certainly went out there to tank, and I don't think a setup like that will win fights.
Also, Eds, we saw the Basilisk wasn't down, and suddenly he did. How come the change of pace?
The Raven and maybe the Drake as well were remote shield repping, and combined with the Basilisk's own shield tank, which is pretty good as standard, was able to keep it alive against the DPS being delivered by the Atlas Alliance team. As soon as the Griffin and the Blackbirds got the jam on the Raven, it just disappeared. It melted. It couldn't possibly tank the damage that was being given out with its own tank. So that was what obviously the Atlas team were waiting for. You probably had ECCM backup in the mid slots for the Raven and probably the Drake to stop it getting jammed as much as possible. And in that situation, of course, it takes a long time to get that first jam cycle. Once they got it, the Basilisk melted.
We saw Namsakin. You said, "Oh, they field on Mimitar." Sadly, it was all Caldari, but it was a pretty decent setup. But they weren't ever going to do much DPS with that, were they?
I think they were just being jammed most of the time. You could see the Raven and the Drake mostly be firing on the drones. So those were FOVs because they were simply being jammed and dampened, and there was not much they would be able to do. Like they said, you know, when you lose your mid slots to tanking, it's not good for PvP, it's good for mission running.
Okay. And we also saw them, what Burn Eden were doing yesterday, kiting the FOFs with the drones, absorbing a bit of damage, pulling them back. Explain to us exactly how that works.
We didn't spot it in commentary yesterday, and to be fair, it's a fairly new tactic, something I don't know, I'm not aware of it being used before. It's a brilliant idea. Basically, you launch your drones, and when the other team are spamming FOF missiles, which should normally be hitting your support craft who are cycle jamming and cycle dampening, as we saw the Griffins start to go down and having to be repaired. What the team do is they launch their drones, they push them out into the middle of the field, head them off towards the opposition, they let them get to the opposition, and they bring them straight back again. In that time, of course, FOF missiles are shooting out of the opposition, haven't got the DPS to kill the drones, but are being distracted and drawn away from your own ships by the drones themselves. And it's a great tactic. B used it yesterday, and then we saw it again being used to a good effect there.
Okay, so when you're being dampened, James, FOFs are often the solution, but actually it's not that hard to get past them.
They're not a very reliable thing. I mean, yes, people say, oh, you know, Caldari have FOFs. They can jam. You can jam them, and they'll still start shooting at you. But if you know what you're doing, you know how to use your drones, or you know how to use other ships around you, you'll end up having the friend or foe missiles going up. They always basically just go after the closest target. And so if there's a light drone and a Griffin shooting you, they'll just go straight after them.
And of course, they shoot your own logistics all the time as well, which is very frustrating.
Right, what that means, the next match is ready, but what that means is that Atlas Alliance go comfortably through at the top of their group with Roadkill coming in second, but Atlas don't get the full 600 points. They're around the 540
Could make a difference.
So now, this is really, we can't really talk about it too much because the match is ready. It's HUN Reloaded versus Chaos Incarnate. HUN have done all right, but nothing special, but that's very much the story along the rest of the group. So let's just see. I'm going to go with HUN. James?
I'd like to see Chaos Incarnate win because there's still a possibility they might make it through.
Yeah, there certainly is.
Any of the three teams in these last two matches could go through, not including, obviously, Bernard already won it. I would be with James. I'd like to see CI go through a decent performance here, 300 points, and give them a good chance going through.
Okay, and Magnus?
I'll say Chaos, but either one of those teams can win.
Okay.
And I don't really know them that well.
Okay. Well, let's see it happen.
Good evening and welcome back. Now we have HUN Reloaded versus Chaos Incarnate in the second to last match of the day. It's Angel with Verone in the commentary box, and on the left-hand side we have HUN with 1 Curse, 2 Basilisks, a Caracal Navy issue, a Caracal, well, 3 Caracals there. And on the right-hand side, Verone, if you'd like to go down that.
Yeah, we have the first use of Hyperions we've seen in the tournament, along with a Damnation, a Crow, and 2 Maledictions. What are you expecting to see from this match?
This is going to be quite an interesting one. I mean, 2 Hyperions there. We're seeing it taking heavy damage on the shield already. So it looks like Huns have got the ECM going and they've got the damps on, because we're not seeing any damage on the HUN team at the moment. I'm expecting probably to see, they're obviously going for the tank and gank setup on the right-hand side, and on the left we've got slightly more ECM. You can see cap transfer going on between the Basilisks and the Curse. Obviously getting its newts going. It's interesting seeing the newts and how much cap they are requiring. The Hyperion now in armour for Chaos Incarnate.
Yeah, I'm expecting from Chaos Incarnate hopefully to see a very heavy tank. No doubt the Damnation will be providing armour support links, I should imagine. And the Hyperion is, well, it's renowned for its tanking ability, not so much its damage usually. But, it's an awesome ship.
Yep, 7.5% bonus to armour repair amount of armour repair systems. So if he's running 2 large armour reps on that, he's going to have a fairly decent tank. With the added bonus from the Damnation, of course. Damnation itself has got a pretty mean tank, especially after the changes in the last patch.
Yeah, absolutely. I fly a Damnation myself, and I can attest to how strongly it does tank. I've been baiting 0-0 on a lot of occasions in the past. And I think the main issue that they're going to see here, the Chaos Incarnate team, is that Curse, which is running a newt on the, or maybe more than 1 newt on the targeted Hyperion at present.
Yeah, well, running the newts, of course, he's going to be capped out very quickly with the Curse's bonus, and keeping the cap going between the 3 tanking ships that Chaos Incarnate have there is going to be very interesting for them. What do you think of the 3 token interceptors they've got? Is that a case of, if they lose the 2 battleships and the command ship, that they can keep those 3 interceptors in the fight? And
yeah, I think that's the main train of thought there, just keeping some of those, at least one of those interceptors in the fight. Yeah, just to hold off on the points. I mean, you can see there, even with its tanking ability, the Hyperion for Chaos Incarnate of Aragog is really taking heavy armor damage, and if the other Hyperion in the gang doesn't have any form of large remote armor rep on board, then you're going to see issues. And yeah, there he goes, he's into structure now very heavily, and it doesn't actually look like he's damage controlled.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying there, like, obviously they didn't expect Huns to come out with this this setup with the Curse, because a tanking battleship, there he goes, the Hyperion's just popped, and I expect them to go to work on the second one now. But you come out with 2 tanking battleships that are so cap reliant, and it uses cap to use their guns, it uses cap to rep, and you've got Damnation as well, very cap reliant. And no logistics ship, of course. It's not really the best setup, I'd say.
No, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the Galenti ships that are more orientated towards blasters are notorious for their inability to hold their cap in a longer engagement. I mean, I'm assuming that these guys have cap boosted fitted, but it's really not going to help with a Curse with its bonuses raining down a lot of mutant NOS on them.
Yeah, I mean, you can basically, especially now, more a lot of people were using NOSes only on Curses before, and now with the the NOS change, they seem to be using newts a lot more, because obviously there's no level you cannot neutralise to. We're seeing, the HUNs on the left-hand side shield tanking the curse probably, and keeping the repping going quite nicely with the 2 basilisks.
Yeah.
And seems to be falling apart for Chaos Incarnate on the right-hand side, with the second Hyperion now entering structure.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing, because I've flown with a few of the guys from Chaos Incarnate, and I do actually know what they're capable of when they put their heads together. But you can see there as well, their interceptors starting to take damage from what I assume is chasing drones. And you can see as well the awesome amount of support from the from the HUN team, rather. I'm forgetting who's fighting. I'm watching the screen that much. But yeah, you can see in a few of the shots that the HUN team have actually been putting remote logistics drones on the 2 basilisks as well.
It's interesting to note, actually, I'm just looking at the speeds of these interceptors. It doesn't look like they're running snake sets. Is that, something that we've been talking about as well? The usage of the pirate implants in the tournament, has it become more prevalent in this tournament or less so? I mean, I'm tending to lean towards the less so. I mean, we're not seeing, the huge CNR full high-grade crystal sets. We're not seeing any of that. There's pointless having a high-grade crystal set in your Caracal, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we haven't really seen that many, not that I can think of off the top of my head, snaked up inties. As well as that, we have seen quite a few uses of the slave set, I would imagine, given some of the tanks that have been running and how long some of the guys have survived out there. But it's just been a case of,
I think that would be it. If you're gonna be using high grade implants, it would be the slave sets on there tanking the battleships. Especially we're seeing the Damnation now, although it's got a good tank, it's not going to be able to withstand the 4 Caracal's DPS when it's got what is no cap from the having the curse right on top of it.
Absolutely. If you've got a skilled curse pilot, then he knows exactly how to cycle his NOS and his newts to completely drain that Damnation. So yeah, I mean, you can see him hitting structure there, and this is an absolute whitewash.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the curse pilot is probably going to just be running a full newt setup, being fed cap from the basilisks, which we learned earlier on actually do have the cap transfer bonus. So the Damnation now, it's keeping on with the skin of its teeth. We've lost one of the interceptors. It's being target painted by one of the HUN team. They've obviously got a target painter on their missile damage.
There goes the Crow as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going 5,000 meters a second and you're being target painted, you aren't going to last long against any missile ship, especially if the curse happens to get one of its neutralizers on you and there's your cap gone and you can't run your micro warp drive. Absolutely.
You can see there the Damnation just hanging on, but looks like he'll be leaving us pretty soon. The malediction from Chaos Incarnate that's remaining is hitting armor as we follow the drone.
Actually see the Chaos team whining and local about the curse, so they don't like the curse. And I don't think anybody likes anybody that flies curses. I mean, they've got they've got the range bonus and the amount bonus. I mean, if you've got good skills, you're nossing up to 40k overloaded, even more faction NOS, which obviously you can't have in the tournament, even more than that. So it's it is an excellent ship and it's useful for breaking any tank. We're seeing the Damnation holding on. I think they're working on the malediction at the moment, are they not?
Yeah, it looks that way. But going back to the curse, the thing is, it's just an absolute grief-mobile when you fly one solo.
It is. I love it so much.
It's a hell of a ship, and in a lot of terms, now that the changes have come in, it really does outshine the Pilgrim.
Yeah, I mean, I've always preferred the curse to the Pilgrim, and just a different slot layout, and I much prefer it. But at the end of the day, even with the changes we're being shown in the tournament, just they are still useful, even with the NOS nerf, as it were.
Yeah, we've still seen a prevalent use of NOS from quite a few of the teams. I've seen a lot of neutralizing use as well. So these teams have obviously been on Singularity. They've obviously been testing a lot. As we see the Damnation hitting structure again, he's got a sliver of armor left that is just hanging in there, but his leak through structure damage is going to get him killed in a couple of seconds.
I mean, if he's taking the entire brunt of the HUN team's damage, then that tank, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and there he goes. He's down now.
Yeah, he's down. But still lasted a lot longer than the Hyperions did.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of killing off that last interceptor now and going for the total hell death. Unless they decide to put us through hell again and
they may well do,
all the loot.
It looks like the malediction running away at quite large speed. It's just whether he can stay within the arena. I know it's quite difficult. You have to actually watch the beacon in the middle to, know how far away you are out of the arena. But we've seen a couple of Inties and small frigs hill zeroed because of that recently.
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah,
the GMs are having a lot of fun time
running away. I mean, the Malediction, the Amar Interceptors are one of the the fastest race of interceptors. I would say they've got a lot of low slots. You can just basically
absolutely
speed.
Behind the Crow, they're they're one of the fastest.
Yeah.
And you can see there, nice close up of the Malediction trying to run away from that.
It'll only take
spam of caracals.
Well, the problem is, they've got no turret ships, so it's really easy in an interceptor to outrun the missiles. Turret ships, not so much so. I mean, it hits you once and does a decent amount of damage, and then, you're pretty much dead. It'll be interesting to see now if they're actually able to kill this thing, or if we're going to have to talk for a long time.
Yeah, I think we've probably got between 5 and 10 minutes left on the fight, so we might end up having to talk a bit of crap for a while.
Yeah, it might be a time to start spamming them in local, asking him if he'd so kindly die.
Yeah, I mean, when you get in that sort of situation, obviously the only thing you're trying to do is deny the opposite team the total hell death and the points, because it is a big bonus.
I don't think it's actually going to have much, play much part though, because HUN really loaded. They're sat on 293 at the moment with the total hell death. It will be 400. I mean, we're about to see Terra Incognita fight in the next match, and we're expecting them to top the group with full points. So
absolutely, I think the next match is going to be a complete whitewash of dampening caracals. Yeah,
I'm gonna love the next match. I'm really interested to see what Agony bring out. They're my favourite team.
Likewise, they're they're a solid bunch of guys, and it's just a matter of watching the whole Benny Hill thing, I guess, for a few minutes until this guy gets bored and dies, makes a mistake, or Nova calls the end of the match.
No, they seem to have found some light drones to try and catch up with him. Hopefully that'll make the change.
Yeah, but looks like the light drones have caught up with him. Yeah,
finally.
Nova's calling in local. 5 minutes left on the match, but I don't think we're going to need that long.
Right, the drones seem to have stopped. No, they're going
and they're
back
chasing again.
What are they up to?
The wonderful drone AI and EVE Online showing its true form there again.
Yeah. I wouldn't go there if I was you. But yeah.
No, I'm seriously not going to go there.
No, he's about to hit structure. Come on, one more shot on the, one more volley on the drones, and he should be down. So it was all very nice him running around and making me talk absolute gibberish for 5 minutes, but it looks like he's actually going to die at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, what more can we say? Epic failure on Chaos Incarnate's part. I mean, they have gone up against a very solid tactic and a very solid group of ships there. There's a lot of support there. There's a lot of potential for cap warfare there. And
it was a different setup. I think they tried something out. I mean, they're saying in local that the curse was the clincher, and I think
two Hyperions, definitely.
It's very true. I mean, as they always say, cap is life, and the curse with its bonuses, it kills that life as such.
That's a very philosophical way of putting it, Angel. But yeah, you can see the Malediction is actually clawing his shield back there, and we have GM Nova asking if he can call the match a draw in local. He must be getting bored as well.
Yeah,
that's it, Angel. You beg in local for us.
Yeah, I was about to write please, decided
and
I
he's
probably
down
shouldn't,
and out.
And it's finished. Right, so that was a interesting match.
Well, that's the thing. What do you do in that situation apart from just have to sit back and see what happens? Bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, there's nothing much you can do other than try and think of some funny innuendo or, just sit back and chat for a while, yeah.
Yeah, I know, there isn't, you get to that point and you know what the Interceptor's up to. You'd probably do the same thing yourself, though.
Without a doubt, I would, yeah.
You're running around and we've got to sit here and we've got to think of something to talk about, and generally it's not very interesting, especially when it's me.
I found it quite interesting. I think the voice is growing. I think it's we've got a very very British team here at the moment.
Oh really?
Oh, yes.
Hello, welcome to CNN.
Taking the mickey out of my accent, are we?
No, actually he's worse for it because he's been doing bullies. Go on, give us a quick one.
No, I'm not doing it live on air.
He does a very good English.
I'll go all bashful.
He does a very good English gent.
I think it's time to take the hat off, though, Verone.
Oh,
it's
man.
got to be said.
You want your 500 million?
Yeah, I want my 500
Are we ready? Da, 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 da. Oh, my gosh, it's like Lassie or Black Beauty or something along those lines.
There we go.
It's nice.
Very nice.
It's nice. I like it. Oh, I could do this for hours.
It's sweaty.
It's like having a small pet in the commentary box.
Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. Would you like a question?
Okay.
Well, they want to know why you see so many sort of missile ships in the tournament as opposed to normal PvP.
I've answered
But
this
exactly,
question like
that's
10
the
times
thing.
now.
It's exactly the same.
Because in normal PvP, missile ships are for NPC, and in the tournament, though, you've got the ability to use FOFs.
Yeah.
I mean, we do see Caldari missile ships in PvP. It's just not as prevalent. I mean, obviously, it's not alpha damage. You know, missiles take a time to get to the target. If I'm fleet commanding a fleet, I'd much rather have 20 Megathrons than 20 Ravens. Just because you can alpha a target, move on to the next one by the time the Raven's missiles have hit.
And that's it. We need more interesting questions. You know, I think, you know, we could delve in a bit deep. Or you get arty with us. Angel had some poems earlier on in the week that were very, very lovely.
I like my poem.
And, yeah, the poems are good. So I think maybe a bit more of that on the forums would be quite interesting. Or just better questions, I guess, as well. What would you like to see more of? You've had a bit of shoe on wig.
Yeah.
You've had a bit of hat on head. Shoe on wig on hat on head. It was also...
Yeah, apparently there's a call on the forums as well for me to be wearing the pink wig at some point. I don't know.
Aris's pink wig. If you didn't tune in earlier on in the week, we had Aris Discordia on, who had a lovely pink wig from Lazy Town. It was interesting to say the least. But obviously, it's made for own as a small superstar.
Indeed, it has. Believe there is a photoshopped image out there somewhere of me donning the wig.
Stunning
which,
image.
I have to say, even myself, I found quite attractive.
You like a bit of the Verone with pink hair, do you?
It's kind of like a scary Cyndi Lauper who's mated with some candy floss, to be honest. But I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just definitely a thing. So this next match.
I'm expecting...
loving this match.
I'm expecting exactly the same from Terra Incognita. Lots of dams, lots of missile spam, and just complete annihilation of Agony Empire.
Yeah, this is almost as good as if somebody beat Bob this match. If Agony could beat Berneden, that would be,
absolutely.
You know, I'd love it so much. Agony are my little... I really like them as an alliance, and I really like what they stand for. And then you've got big bad Berneden, who, you know, we have a couple of arguments on the forums.
A couple.
Yeah.
I know they give the entire Eve TV team some stick, and you know, aside from them being, they are great PvPers and great pilots. They, you know, their social skills need a little bit of work, possibly.
I'm not even going to go there. I'll
I'm in trouble
get flamed to hell, so I'm not even going to bother.
Ryan, who's your Windigger been this day of lovely spaceships?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it's got to be Atlas Alliance, if I'm perfectly honest. It's they've been great the whole tournament. They've been the ex-Cult of War team, who, yet again, I'll say, famously took down the Impoc in the last tournament. I believe their FC's working with Atlas Alliance as well, so yeah, it's been...
And who are the fail diggers for you? Don't say Derek.
Eneleus, without a doubt. I was really hoping they'd pull something out of the bag this last match, but epic fail yet again.
Epic fail digger, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
I think now it's time to get ready for the last match and go back to the studio.
I've been many things. I've been the bad guy from The Incredibles. I've been all sorts of things. You've been Beaker. You've been cool. Well, yeah, cool. But if you look back, I don't know if we can cut back at all. But without his hat, with his hair pulled back, Verone looks just like Data. So if we can maybe get the video feed of that back while I'm still talking. Look at that, it's Data. Put your headset back on. Come on, Data. If we can get a full screen shot of it as well. Stevie, you've walked into the picture. Get out. What are you doing? It's disgusting. But yeah, maybe later on we can make sure you have your print screen button. We need to have him photoshopped. Do not put your hat back on, Data. Right. There was a match about spaceships earlier on. What happened? Too busy taking a look at it.
Someone won and someone lost.
Yes, that's right. It was HUN Reloaded beat Chaos Incarnate. I think we saw a very, very effective, supported Curse again. We've seen it 2 or 3 times now. Curse with 1 or 2 logistics, feeding it cap, and it's just annihilating ships.
Yeah, I mean you've got those 2 Hyperions that went in with a blaster fit, and blasters at the best of time use just an absolute crapload of cap. And with the Curse neutralising them, getting fed cap from the Basilisks, and the added problem of the fact that the Hyperions, without their tracking bonus, without any kind of tracking bonus, were trying to shoot at cruisers, and it's just not going to work.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, HUN were rock solid there, weren't they?
Actually, before the match, you asked who I wanted to win. I actually picked Chaos Incarnate without really looking at who else they were fighting. if given the choice again, I would have picked HUN to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I wanted to win would have been
That was a
HUN.
violin, in case people...
Okay, HUN, we've flown them before, they're in my alliance for a while. I would have wanted them to win. As it turns out, as you say, rock solid performance. Good
Really
setup,
impressive.
well disciplined, went out and slapped them.
And that, of course, with a total hell death, that now puts them at the head of the group.
Yep, if Terra Incognito lose the next match without a kill,
Because that puts them at...
we'll put them in second place.
At 443 points.
Yep, which
So
is a
as long
good
as Terra
score.
Incognito kill nothing but one frigate.
That's a good score, 443 points.
It
That's
is.
a good, tough score.
It is. Now, we've heard rumours that Agony Empire have turned up in stealth bombers and a Raven. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Oh, they're dead. Smart bombing Avalon coming.
Trouble. We've seen stealth bombers before. Magnus, stealth bombers have a role, and that's hide somewhere, stealthily cloaked. Maybe
Yes.
drop bombs if you have money to throw away, but
Only
they're
people-
not very successful in this tournament. Are they?
I really don't think we'll see any kind of successful setup.
No,
with stealth
I don't think we'll ever
No.
see a successful.
Or
stealth
if you
bomber
do,
setup.
it's because the other team knew
I think we
what they
will
were going to
have
face.
one successful story with stealth bombers.
I think that might have been a story of treachery and betrayal.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if that ever happens, of course.
There is a way to use stealth bombers, but they're tricky.
Yes.
They're very, very tricky because of how little shield and armor they
You don't
have.
need that much skill, do you, to fly stealth bombers? So it's not like a really skilled craft. It's
No.
just F1, F2, F3,
Yeah,
sit still,
it's-
hope I win. If I don't win, it's because I'm
Go to the
dead.
coffee machine if there
Yeah.
is a
Could
building.
everybody please record this and replay this tomorrow, this
We
conversation?
have the power of the internet, so we can edit anything we like.
We are the Intertube
What
Wizards.
conversation?
Intertube Wizards.
This is not the conversation, and so on and so forth. Right, it's the last match of the day. I think we're ready to go, to be honest. It's Agony Empire versus Terra Incognita. Terra Incognita, we're expecting them to win here. We're probably expecting to bring the same setup and likely do well with it, aren't we?
They love their gank, don't they? I expect them to roll out 10 caracals. If they don't, fair enough. Then,
8 Caracal, Stealth Bomber,
yeah,
and
and a Blackbird,
is what
and
we've
come out and just hurt people.
seen. I must agree, Magnus.
Yeah, Terra is gonna terrorize them, I guess.
Very good.
Oh, sharp.
They're going to cause some agony.
Nice. Terra going to terrorise and cause some agony. That's nice.